Hi friends, and welcome back. So today I will be talking about the journey of meditation, the experience that we all go through behind those closed eyes and that still body. So I have been meditating for almost 12 years now, and so many times people ask me, what do you do behind those closed eyes and when you're sitting still and in silence? And I tell them it's really not a very passive activity. It's a very, very dynamic activity. You are actually withdrawing the energy through your senses. You're withdrawing energy from your senses. You are using your willpower to offer that energy up through your consciousness. And at the end, we offer that energy with our willpower and concentration right here at the point between our eyebrows, which is the doorway to super consciousness. And from this point, we connect to that infinite cosmic consciousness to absorb those qualities, to absorb the qualities of God. And those qualities are all within us. It is just that we're trying to realize those qualities. And meditation is actually a science. It's very universal in nature. So it's not just my experience, and everyone who will be meditating or who just begins their journey on the path to self-realization, they will go through the same experience. And this experience was described in the Ashtanga Yoga by the great sage Patanjali. And you may be of any religion. You may be a Hindu, you may be a Muslim, you may be a Sikh, or you may be following any path to yoga. You may be following the path of Bhakti Yoga or Karma Yoga or even Jnana Yoga. As long as you are moving in the right direction, this is the experience which I'm gonna share with you. That's the experience you all will experience on that path. And this path, which Patanjali described as Ashtanga Yoga, he called it the eightfold path towards yoga or eightfold path towards union with God. And I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible. I'm going to really try to make it like a story, a journey which I have experienced and which he has described thousands and thousands of years back. And the words I'm going to use for these 8 paths, they might sound very difficult to you if you're hearing these words for the first time. But trust me, I'm going to break it up very simply. So these eightfold path is the yamas, niyams. Now these are the attitudes which one needs to develop on the path of yoga, on the path to self-realization. Then it's followed by Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyan and Samadhi. So these are the 8 aspects or 8 stages which we go through. And starting with the yamas, which are the don'ts on the spiritual path. These are the things which you need to abstain from, the qualities you need to abstain from on the spiritual path. And the niyamas are the things which you need to observe. Those are the do's on the spiritual path. And together these yamas and niyamas, there are 5 don'ts and 5 do's. They become like the 10 commandments of yoga. And I will not be talking about these yamas and niyamas to begin with, because we're actually talking about meditation, which is the most effective and efficient tool on your journey towards self-realization. So I'll begin with the third limb, which is the third part, and all of these parts, it does not make a difference if I begin with the third or the fourth. They all are interconnected and they are interdependent on each other. So starting with asana and the pranayam. So this comes under the phase of relaxation. So our entire journey in meditation or entire journey of self-realization starts with the phase of relaxation, and then we move on to the phase of concentration, and finally to the phase of expansion. So in the phase of relaxation comes these 2 limbs which are called the asana and the pranayama. So let me start with the third limb, which we call the asana. So asana simply means a posture, and Patanjali was not referring to the various yoga postures which is actually another branch of yoga which we call the Hatha Yoga. When he speaks about asana here, which is the beginning of meditation, he's simply talking about your ability to sit still. It may be any posture. You just have to take care of 2 things. Firstly, your body should be relaxed. And secondly, your spine should be straight. Whenever you are sitting in meditation, you can sit on the floor, you can sit on the chair, some people even stand and meditate. It does not make a difference. The most important thing is that you should not be even moving a muscle in your body at that point of time. So your spine has to be straight, and Paramahansa Yogananda used to say, a bent spine is enemy to self-realization, because our spine is the main channel of energies in which our life force, our prana flows. And in meditation, the entire purpose, the entire journey is about making that energy move up from the bottom of the spine to the top of the spine. And that energy is what raises our consciousness. The Hatha Yoga or the various yoga postures, they are beneficial. They are a great aid for you to harmonize the energy in your body so that your body and muscle become supple. But it's not necessary. Even if you don't do those yoga postures, but you can sit still, it's a very good start and you can easily meditate. To catch these subtle realities of this higher consciousness, those realm of light and sound and joy and love, you really need to be still. You need to be still in your body. You need to be still in your mind and your heart. Body is just the beginning. And sitting still is really very important and also very difficult. With this stage, you develop a very strong willpower. The people who don't meditate, you can just try to be sitting still, just gazing at something, and you will realize after 5 or 10 minutes how much of willpower you require to be in that posture for say half an hour or even 1 hour. A perfection at this stage, the scriptures say, if you can sit still for 3 hours, you actually perfect this phase or this stage of yoga. And once we have perfected this stage, even by sitting still for 30 minutes or 1 hour, we move on to the next stage, which we call the pranayama. So pranayama is made up of 2 words, prana, which is the life force, and yama, which means control. So pranayama literally means control over our life force. So prana is actually a combination, or it's an amalgamation of our breath, our energy, and the life. So many times we feel we can't live without food, but you've seen so many people who fast. They fast for weeks and nothing happens to them. Some feel we can't live without water, but you can survive without water for a couple of days also. And most of us feel we can't survive without breath, but we can hold our breath for a couple of minutes also. So what is that one thing which really makes us live, which really makes our heart beat? And this is what is prana. Prana is that life force which makes a heart beat. And we cannot live without that prana even for a single moment. We have a skip of a heartbeat and we really go in for a cardiac arrest or a heart fail. That's how important prana is. And when I said it's a combination of your breath, your energy and your life. So prana, your energy and your breath, or I must say the breath and the energy are very intimately related with each other. So whenever you're doing something laborious, you're really using a lot of energy, how your breath also has to really pump up your heart to provide that energy within you. And sometimes when you're really restless, how you have to just breathe calmly, you just deep breathe and your energies also starts getting harmonized. So in this stage, the stage of pranayama, we're simply trying to withdraw all the energy which is constantly moving out through our senses, through our eyes, through our ears, what we're hearing, through our nose, what we're smelling, or through the sense of touch, or through what we are tasting. When we're not using any of these things, we're not using our senses, there should not be any use of energy also. So when we are sitting still and we are controlling the life force through our breath with certain exercises, those exercises like the Anulom Vilom or Pranayam, so many exercises, the breathing exercises you've heard of, those are simply an aid. But at this stage, we are simply trying to harmonize the energy in our body. We are reversing the flow of the energy. Our energies are constantly moving out through our senses, through the sight, through our desires and the feelings of the heart also. It drains our energy. At this stage, we are simply controlling the energy and we become still. And we are completely relaxed. So once we have complete control over our energies, we move on to the next phase, which is the phase of concentration. And we move to the part or the stage of Pratyahara. And this is the beginning of the phase of concentration. So Pratyahara literally means interiorization of your mind and your feelings. So now our bodies are still. We have even harmonized the energy. Now we need to still our thoughts and the feelings of our heart. So if you will realize, we are always either in the present or in the future. Our mind is always thinking of what will happen in the future. Oh, I wish I wouldn't have done in the past. It's never in the moment. It's never in the now. And even our heart has so many desires. It has so many likes and dislikes. It's always have a feeling of regret or a feeling of enjoyment. We have to still those also because we have to withdraw this energy also. And this is the state which we call in modern terms the state of mindfulness. When we are completely in the here and now. And then at this stage we realize that our breath, our energy, and our state of mind are very intimately related with each other. So at this point of time, if you just get a WhatsApp or an SMS over your phone and you get a very good news, you get a news that you've got admission into that college which you were aspiring for, or you get the news that you have won that contract which you applied for in business, or any good news. You are so calm right now, but with that good news, how your energies move up in your spine, your body really expands and you have a smile on your face and you really deep breathe as if you're affirming life. Just one news, and this is the relation between your mind, your breath, and the energy. And vice versa, if you get a bad news, how you just get tensed, and your breath is also like you exhale with tension, and your body posture moves down, your energy falls down. This is that relation which I'm trying to talk about. So in this Pratyahara stage, we are simply trying to observe our thoughts. We're simply trying to observe our emotions. It's like, you're just standing on the road and you're just seeing the traffic move in front of you. You're really not trying to control the movement of the traffic. You're simply watching. And as you practice this more, you will become more aware of yourself and you will stop thinking. Initially, in a day-to-day life, we are 90% of the time thinking and we are only aware of our thoughts for 10%. But with this practice, in this moment, you start increasing that percentage of awareness and you may reach a state where you will be 90% being aware of your thoughts and your feelings, and only 10% would be used for those feelings and for your thoughts. And you have completely withdrawn the energy at this stage. So, once we are completely in control of our energies, we are completely in control of our thoughts and our feelings, only then we can move on to the stage of concentration, which is called Dharana. So concentration is simply the ability to focus on one thing at one point of time. And it is the key to be successful in any undertaking. So many people you would be seeing, they're successful in their life, they're successful in their careers or profession. There'll be one thing common in each one of them, and that is the ability to focus on the task which they are attending to. And so many times, people who are involved in their business, once they come on the spiritual path with a high degree of concentration, they progress very swiftly on this path also because of the power of concentration. And the power of concentration, let me share an example with you. So we all would have done that experiment of that magnifying glass. When we put a piece of paper out there in the sun, what will happen by the end of the day? Even in scorching sunlight, at the end of the day, that paper might just get a little brown or a little crispier, but nothing more than that happen. But if we get a magnifying glass and we concentrate that same energy of the sun, we will be able to burn that piece of paper in just a couple of seconds. So once we develop concentration and we can control the energy, we can control with our willpower all our thoughts and our feelings, and we start to concentrate that energy, get that energy up and concentrate here at the point between your eyebrows. You actually open this doorway to super consciousness. And we move on to the next stage, which is called the phase of expansion. And we move on to the stage of meditation, which is called Dharana. So Paramahansa Yogananda ji used to say, concentration is the ability to focus on one thing at one point of time. But if we turn that focus on God or any of His 8 aspects, that's the time we meditate. And that's what is meditation. So these 8 aspects of God are peace and calmness, joy and love, sound and light, and wisdom and power. So when we start concentrating on these subtle realities, when we in meditation, we concentrate on, say, love, you're really concentrating on that divine love. And you start to absorb those qualities. You will just start to change yourself. You will become very selfless in your love. Your love will be equal for everyone. Even if that person is trying to hurt you, you will not feel that animosity towards that person. When we meditating on, say, wisdom, we become very intuitive. You get solutions, you get perceptions of truth, you get the ability and you get the clarity of thought. When we are trying to tune into the light of God, you get vitality. You really become channel of that light. That's the power of meditation. And in that entire journey, this is where we are meditating. And this entire journey leads us to the final stage, which is called Samadhi, which is called oneness or union with God. So when we are completely absorbed in those qualities of God, when, let's say, the meditator, my act of meditation and the object of meditation, it could be any of those 8 aspects, they become one. We get completely absorbed and we merge in that quality. And that is called Samadhi or oneness or self-realization. Then we realize that, our ego consciousness has merged with infinite cosmic consciousness. And we become the channel of energies of God. It's really not that, you die and you merge with God. It's just that we have the willpower, we have the strength to merge our consciousness with the consciousness of God in this lifetime also. And meditation is the most effective and powerful tool. So the scriptures define God as Sat Chidanand, where Sat stands for ever existing. Chid means ever conscious and bliss means ever new joy. So God is simply His ever existing, ever conscious, ever new joy. He is consciousness and His joy. So if we want to relate with God, we want to tune into Him. We cannot tune into Him with our senses, or we cannot tune into Him with our thoughts or feelings. The only way to tune into Him, that we also have to become like that. And for that comes meditation. It helps us to expand our consciousness. It expands our joy when you're doing this activity. So this very action, when these five stages which I've spoken about, I'll leave the Samadhi because that's the ultimate goal of this exercise of meditation. You will learn the practical aspects and the practical benefits of meditation. It helps you, it starts with developing willpower with Asana. It helps you to develop very strong concentration powers, and it has many benefits, to develop concentration. Then it helps you to tune into these realities. You become very peaceful, you become very calm. Nothing outside of yourself affects for a deep meditator. He just realizes that he's just an observer and everything passing through him. This life is also like a play. That's why it's called the Krishna Leela, or that's why it's called the Maya Jal. You are just an observer. You've been sent for a particular purpose. So what is that purpose? So as we say, God is the creator and He is the creation. He is present in each and every particle of creation. The scriptures say, God sleeps in mineral and rocks. God dreams in plants and trees. God starts to awake in animals, and God is fully awake in human beings. We're the most evolved species of God, and He's also gifted us with 2 qualities, which is free will and the power of reasoning. So when we have these 2 gifts, the entire purpose of any person is to move towards happiness, and that happiness is in that infinite consciousness. So we have to very consciously raise our consciousness, just raise our happiness to reach God, and in the process we become happy. Nothing outside of yourself starts affecting you the amount it does right now. And with this we come to the 2 limbs which I left in the beginning, which are called the attitudes on the spiritual path. And these 2 limbs are the yamas and the niyamas. And yamas are the don'ts on the spiritual path, the qualities which we should abstain from. I will not talk about in detail about these qualities. We'll take it somewhere later in another podcast. But just briefly, so these 5 yamas are non-violence, non-lying, non-cheating, non-sensuality, and non-attachment. If you will see these 5 things, if we start controlling them, if we start to simply abstain from them, you will be able to really save a lot of energy. Because if you are violent, you are attached to something. If you are lying or stealing from somebody, at that point of time, all that tension, all that contraction actually makes your energy go out. And at the same time, the 5 niyams is simply cleanliness not only of body but of the mind and the heart also. Contentment, which is one of the biggest virtues on the spiritual path. Then comes introspection, devotion to God, and austerity. So these qualities, once you develop, you are complete in yourself. You're happy with the way you are. You are confident of how you are and what you are doing. So this journey of Ashtanga Yoga, Patanjali is really not telling us what to do or how to do. He's simply describing the stages which each and every aspirant, or I say a spiritual seeker, will go through as he progresses on this path. And all these stages are not exclusive to each other. As I said, they're interdependent and related to each other. So once you need to perfect one, you also have to perfect the other. For example, let's talk about the first stage and the last stage of meditation. You cannot meditate perfectly if you cannot sit still. So even the first stage is equally important as the sixth stage of, say, concentration. And as I said, it's a universal concept. It's a phenomena which each and every one of us will go through. And I learned my meditation at Ananda Sangha. I'll share the link of that organization right here at my description, and you can do an online course or an offline course. It just requires 2 Sundays or 2 sessions where they will teach you meditation. They'll teach you a lot of concentration exercises like Hong Sau, even count breathing, etc. And I will also share a book which is called the Meditation for Starters. Again, I'll share the link in the link. I would just say, since I say it's a science, it's like an experiment. Experience it before you make judgments about that person sitting still and just thinking, what is that person doing with his eyes closed? Experience it. It's a beautiful journey. It's a very mystical journey, an inward journey, and there's a whole universe inside of us. So if you enjoy this and you want to share this experience of meditation, I will also be talking about the benefits of meditation and how does it help us in our daily lives in another episode. And share it with your friends and family. Until then, take care, be well. This is Dhruv from The Conscious Way. Thank you.